Those wine cocktails were a surprise for me. Just the versatility of making a cocktail involving wine. And that was exciting. But I think I'm ready for a standard wine tasting. Marlise, I think what is probably the most interesting thing is that you are a certified sommelier.
Yes, I do. I have my certified sommelier from the master's program in the United States. I also have certification through the WSET, my level 3. They're a similar level of knowledge, but two different programs for sure.
And that's, I mean, I like how you said knowledge.
Yep.
Because, I mean, that's what being a sommelier is it's all about, is just being able to bring knowledge about this complex and sometimes confusing thing that is wine.
Yeah, it's a very confusing topic for sure. I teach classes here about kinds of the basics of wine. Labels, I think, are the hardest thing to get into, especially when you're going outside the United States. It can get really complicated really quickly. But we kind of built this business as a way for it to be more accessible because you have somebody to come to and talk to about it.
Right, and someone with an incredible amount of knowledge. And I can't wait to put it to test here. So let's go. We've got a couple.
Yeah, I have
wines
3
here.
wines for you here. Okay. So, and all 3 different glasses. Also, we're getting fancy.
Oh, they are.
So this is going to be our Pinot Grigio. So on our glass list, I do one of every varietal. So we don't really have repeats because I like for people to be able to try different things. We rotate them pretty regularly. So this is going to be the only Pinot Grigio on our by the glass list. So this is obviously, Pinot Grigio is a classic white wine from Italy, northern region of Italy, and just a really clean, crisp, easy drinking summer wine for sure.
Yeah, it's not overly dry, but it still has a little bit of hints of the dryness inside it as well. And
citrusy, and what I wanted to do for our glass list also is to try to have wines by the glass that aren't offered elsewhere in the Quad Cities. So we are the only people in the Quad Cities that carries this particular wine. And you'll see that a lot with several of our wines by the glass.
Yeah, you want to do something different. You're offering something that is something different and that's what you want as a business, right? You want to be unique, you want to stand out, and offering things that are not offered inside the city. Yeah. That's exactly what you want.
And we tasted, hundreds of wines before we opened to find the right Pinot Grigio or the right Cabernet. And then as things go out of stock or I find something that's also amazing that I would love to share with people, we rotate them.
Yeah, it's very different on the nose than it is on the palate.
Yeah, very, very nice and easy to drink. This is definitely one of our best sellers by the bottle and by the glass.
Yeah, it's light, it's crisp, I'd say pretty refreshing. Yeah.
So the second wine that I have for you, this is Lambrusco. Have you heard of Lambrusco before?
I have not heard of Lambrusco.
Okay, so Lambrusco is I don't like to call it an old wine, but it's a very classic Italian wine.
Okay.
Traditionally, it's made in these big bottles, almost like the Chianti bottles.
Okay.
It's a sparkling wine, so it has a sparkling lid. Instead of being in the bottle, we actually have ones that are served by the can.
Got it by the can.
Yes.
It's an old wine, but now it's in a can.
Yes, it's in a can. So I hadn't even considered this. This is something a wine distributor told me about. It saves freshness. If I open a bottle of sparkling wine and one person drinks it that day, I throw out the rest of the bottle.
It's done.
But instead, you actually get a larger pour because it's in a can, and it's fresh and sparkling every day. So this is served chilled. It is a red wine, but it's served chilled.
Served chilled?
Served chilled. It retains acidity, freshness, and makes it way more fruity. It has a little touch of sweetness also, and that's just the classic style.
It comes in a little bit. It's a little bit sweeter.
A little bit sweeter. It's not terribly sweet, but a little bit sweeter. And sweetness is always, determined by the palate. So to me, I think it's really sweet. So some people, not at all.
It's not sweet. I would not describe it, but it's certainly not. It's not bitter. It's not really pushing my palate too much. It's a
patio wine, actually.
It's a patio wine. This is nice. I like this. Yeah. This is quite good.
Perfect. All right, I have one more for you.
One more. Okay.
So this is our Pinot Noir by the glass right now. We've actually gone through several Pinot Noirs since we've been open. I have been finding what I like to call unicorn wines, which are wines that are no longer available to buy, and I buy the last cases. So this Pinot Noir now is from Salmon Run. It's from Dr. Constantine Frank from the Finger Lakes region, which is northern New York.
Yeah.
So Dr. Constantine Frank is the founder, basically, of that region. He was one of the first people to take grapes, Vitis vinifera, which is the strand of grape that is used for European varieties. He was one of the first people to take that and plant it in New York. So this is a really cool winery. They make from table wines all the way up to well-aged, beautiful, expensive wines. And this is, I chose this one particularly for summer because it is a lighter style. It's not as fruit forward. It almost, when you're tasting it, is pretty tart, but it's not terribly heavy on the palate.
No, it's not really like beating my mouth up. It certainly does have that little touch of dryness. I feel like all of these have just, I mean, they're not...
A touch of dryness, but not anything too crazy.
Nothing too crazy. It's got a very, almost funk to it on the nose.
For sure. It is made with a little bit less intervention, which just means that they used wild or natural yeasts. Rather than introducing a ton of produced yeasts. So that gives it like a touch of organicness.
Yeah. You know what's great about wine is the variety, and you've shown a lot of variety with not only these three wines, but also the cocktails from before, showing off that there's so much more. It is a big, wide, complicated, and expansive world that you're dealing with. Well, Marlisa, I am so happy that you have this wealth of knowledge and that you're sharing it with me. And thanks for having us in.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming. Really appreciate it.